This is On the Path, where we explore all things Witcher. And Lucy, are you ready to go side questing?
I'm so ready. I am feeling a little bit hungover, honestly, but
Yeah,
ready for side quests.
I messaged you yesterday about what time we were going to record today, and I sent it at about 1 or 2 my time, 7 or 8 your time, and you never responded until the morning. And I was like, "What did she say that she was doing something?"
Yeah, we had our little staff summer party, and it kind of goes on from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 a.m. So it was quite cool that we were at St. James's Park, which is the football stadium in Newcastle. So we did a little tour of that and then had the party and then went to like a German beer keller thing where we're just dancing on tables and stuff all night. So it was pretty fun.
At the tune.
Yeah, down the tune.
All right. Well, we have a lot to cover today. We might not actually cover all of the side quests we have down, but we've got some house cleaning to start off with. First, if you have been a long time listener to this feed, you know that I had the book podcast Whispers of Oxenfurt. I finally put them on a Google Drive, and I will have the link below. You should be able to click on it, view, download, all that right there. So if you're interested in those old solo episodes, they are all down there. Also, I was on the Merchants of Novograd episode talking lore, and I will have that link as well at the bottom. I think you find it on every podcasting platform. It is also on YouTube, so I'll put the YouTube link below. If you want to hear us, but primarily me, talk for over 2 hours.
That was a lot of fun listening to.
Witcher lore. Yeah, it was. Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, I watched it live, so they live stream their podcast recordings on Twitch, so I was able to watch along and talk in the chat and stuff. And yeah, it was good fun.
Okay, there were times when I just would get so what I felt almost long-winded, and in my head, it's just, okay, you've gone on for God knows how long. Like, wrap this shit up, bro. So,
yeah, but you know how when we get guests like that, we love it. So
and they were very, very kind afterwards. They're like, "Oh, that went great," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's the best thing." Yes, the people that guest on our show, we want them to talk as much as possible. That's why they're there. That's why we want to hear them. And it's less that we have to do. But we did not get any reviews on Apple this week, so there's none to read off there. And I forgot to check the Spotify, but I'm sure those went up as well. But we had
82 for Spotify.
Okay, there we go. But we had a very nice comment DM'd to our Instagram account.
We did, yeah. It's from Maddie, and thank you, Maddie, for sending this in because it really did make my day. She said, "Just wanted to drop in and tell y'all that I love the show. I've been listening to it a bunch recently to catch up, and it's always interesting, and it feels like listening to conversations I could have with my friends. Thank you for putting on a great show every week." Really lovely. She then goes on to say, "I'm from the Bay Area in California and got a good laugh out of Brett being a lone A's fan in Texas. I'm not much of a baseball fan, but I'm a fan of another John Fisher-owned team, so I feel your pain there, man."
Yeah, they've done everything to try to get people to not be fans, which is purposefully losing, not paying any money, despite their principal owner being worth like $3 to $4 billion. So yeah, this is an anti-John Fisher podcast. Sell the team. That's all I'll say about the A's.
And then she just finishes off by showing us a lovely photo of her Gwent tattoo, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's like 2 cards, and one's got, I think, a swallow on, and the other is like a wolf. So really sweet, and it's nice getting DMs like that because it's just nice getting to talk to people and then like hearing people's feedback like that. I think that's what I really like about the podcast. If it feels like you're just talking with friends and it's like casual, just a chat, that's the vibe I like about it as well. So it's nice to hear that from someone.
Yeah, just don't hesitate to tell not just us, but any other podcast, any other thing, whether it be YouTube, any kind of creator, tell them you like it, tell them you binge it. Because that to me is the really thing when people say, "Oh man, I just binged all the episodes the past couple of weeks," because I do that too. I'm sure anybody listening to the podcast, you'll just binge it. And for me to think like, holy shit, somebody was listening to us and to me for hours upon hours while working out, commuting or something, it's a pretty high compliment. So just send a message, send an email, a tweet to whatever podcast creator that you support out there. All right. So one thing also, and we're not going to get into the weeds about it, but there was a big Supreme Court ruling in the United States. And you might think like, oh my God, why are they talking about politics and games? This is something that drives me crazy, and I'll only speak for myself in this aspect. This would not be the day to speak for women, would it be? I speak for the both of us. This is not the day to do that. I just speak for myself. One thing that I love about The Witcher, I love a lot of it, but more than anything is what separates it, I should say. There are elves, there are swords, there's fighting and all that stuff. That stuff is okay. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's everything you could get. What separates to me is the themes and stuff put in there. Okay. And for those that are thinking like, oh, why would they make this tweet about abortion, put it in there? There's a passage from the book Baptism of Fire, which is the third novel, the fifth book. There are going to be spoilers just from the show. Okay. I'm going to mention a name that is in this group of people that is completely different from the show, and somehow they get there. So if you don't want to be spoiled by a character that's going to have a big turn, fast forward ahead, jump ahead, probably 30 seconds to a minute, so you don't get spoiled on that. So in this group, there's a group with Geralts, and one of these people was Milva, a woman. She gets pregnant. She doesn't know the father, doesn't know that. And she's basically asking all these men she's traveling with, Geralt, Regis, Dandelion, and Kyir, yes, that Kyir, what she should do. And Regis says, hey, I've got a potion. It's basically an abortion potion. It's like literally like a morning after pill or something that would take care of the fetus. Regis goes to all of the men, basically saying like, what do y'all think? Geralt, for the most part, is like, what are you trying to get at? Okay. And so this is pretty much a passage from there. I understand. Regis nodded. One vote in favor. And you, Geralt, somebody voted for it. What about me? My lords, the vampire fixed them with his dark eyes. Do not pretend you do not understand. In Nilfgaard, Kyir said, blushing and lowering his head, such matters are determined solely by the woman. Nobody has the right to influence her decision. Regis said that Milva is determined to take the medicine. Therefore, I think of this as fact as accomplished and the consequences of this fact. But I'm a foreigner and not familiar with. I should not have spoken at all. Forgive me. For what? Dandelion said with a surprise. Do you think of us as savages, Nilfgaardian, as primitive tribes adhering to shamanic taboo? It is obvious that only a woman could make such a decision. It is their inherent right. If Milva decides to, and then it goes on where all the men basically agree to let Milva do what she wants. Okay. This is one of those things where if you're one of those people that for whatever reason has read the Witcher books or played the games and been like, I don't like politics in my books, it does not get any more political than that right there. That is Andrei Sapkowski, a white boomer in 1996, showing what I can assume what his would be. That's why his characters are doing it in this ancient medieval world. Okay. So while something like that may not affect you, when this stuff gets put in, it's not just because I agree with it, but that's why you do it. Fantasy is a nice way to escape the real world. It's why I love it. It's why I write my own fantasy. But fantasy has always, 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 always been used as allegory to the real world. And him putting this in here, I just want you to understand that even The Witcher and the Hansa is pro-choice there.
Yeah. And it's so like stuff like that in books and fantasy worlds make you fall in love with the world more, don't they? Like you say, there's other fantasy worlds which are just swords and dragons and whatever, but you don't ever feel as connected with them as when they address real world issues like that. So
it makes it real, like you said, and I guarantee you, and if you're listening out there, please let us know. We will not say anything about it. You can DM us anything in anonymity. We will not talk about it on the show. There has to be somewhere out there some woman that loved The Witcher that struggled with having an abortion, who read that, and it had to hit so close to home to them. And again, if you want to talk about that, you want to share that with us, please do. Because I'd love to hear it. Because like you said, that's what makes it real. And then like the treatment of the elves in The Witcher, like Christ almighty, do y'all not know what oppressed groups are? What that allegory is there? Like, and so, like I said, we're not going to get into the weeds about it, but The Witcher is as political as any media gaming book as I can think of without it being completely overt to it.
What was that about?
She spat in my face. Or might as well have. Called me a whoremonger and a witless hack. Can you imagine? Wit is my forte.
Gotta say, Priscilla's really growing on me.
Save it.
And why don't you save your pouting? Prove to her she's wrong.
Exactly what I plan to do. I've always dreamed of having my own cabaret. A bit of paint and plaster, and this place will do splendidly.
All right, so now we are on to the task at hand, the side quests of Novograd. This is part 1. There's so many to do in this. We're only going to do 2 episodes tops, I promise. If you have any suggestions that we haven't done, please send it to us. But yeah, it's there's a lot there. So the first one that we have is the first one that I chose. This is Cabaret, otherwise known as the Crimson Asshole quest. And so Dandelion this is right after you rescue Dandelion. Dandelion wants to open up a cabaret and plans to con an old flame, Sophronia, which is a name I've never heard before.
Really strange name, yeah.
It is. Whom he left high and dry. He went out to get a bottle of wine and never came back. Okay. In the United States, it used to be like a deadbeat dad story. It was a dad going out for cigarettes and never coming back. Do you have something similar like that?
We have
Britain?
Your dad's going out to get milk.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Your dad's going out to buy milk and he never comes back.
Okay,
it's not funny. I'm just laughing at the
Well, it's
story.
funny to me that y'all use milk and we use cigarettes because it makes it seem so. No offense to anybody that smokes. My dad smokes, if that matters. Like going out to get cigarettes just seems like more of a deadbeat dad thing to do.
Yeah, not milk.
not like milk is actually sadder because like the milk would be like for the family
For a baby, for the family.
or that.
Yeah,
All
heartbreaking.
Yeah, well, now everybody's down. All right, at Sophronia's, they have the brilliant idea that every TV writer had from 1985 to 1999, which Geralt is going to pretend to be a bandit and Dandelion is going to step in to save him. It's a brilliant con, and I can't think of anything too more simplistic than this because I've seen it on so many shows and it does seem like it would actually work.
You think so?
I do, because again, it depends on like your neighborhood, but you're just walking with somebody you fancy and someone comes out and like, hey, give me your wallet. And you just punch them and like take them out. Like, how heroic is that?
Yeah. You saved the day.
You save
Sweep
the day.
her off her feet.
And
live happily
then
ever
the
after.
woman, then the woman has to have sex with the man. Like, that's transactional, right?
That's how it works. Yeah.
That's what I've been told. All those Instagram accounts have told me. Okay. That's a joke, by the way. Good
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. So we get this card. Dandelion can write out her lines. We can read from the card or we can ad-lib, which is where we get the Crimson Asshole line.
Oh, it's so
And
funny.
That needs to be a title in Gwent. Crimson Avenger is a title in Gwent you could put on there. I want Crimson Asshole.
What did Berger reply when you tweeted that? I think he said something like age ratings. We can't do that.
I always
Yeah.
that might have been one of those. I looked at the message at like 5 a.m. And then it was like, oh, and then just in and out.
Yeah.
Time I did it. Okay. Yeah. And again, I'm not being too serious in there. It would just be funny. Although mods. It matters little if you beat him or let him beat you. I think one problem I had is when I did this, I think I was too over leveled and he just kept hitting me. And I think after a while, I don't think he has to quote like kill you.
No.
But one hit on him and it's and he just like crumples as Geralt just hits him right there.
Yeah, so if you beat him, he kind of falls to the ground and she goes, oh, let me help you, Dandelion, come inside. But if Dandelion beats you, she's like, oh, you're my hero, so either way, he's won her over.
Yeah, she either feels bad for him or he's the hero. And
Exactly.
I'm telling you, we go through like the great voice acting, and the guy who plays Dandelion, I forgot his name. The guy who plays Dandelion is so good in this because he's like, ow, you cretin. And just says like, oh, I'm sure he's not going to do anything. He wouldn't want the guards to come, or says something like, he knows the guards are coming, but he's very damning towards Geralt.
Yeah, it's so funny. And he's like speaking through his teeth, like he wouldn't want the guards to show up.
Yeah. She's like, go away, you brute. And he's like, oh, he'll go away. He knows that the guards are coming. All right. So again, it matters very little what you do. Either way, Dandelion spends the time with her. But now back at the inn, I guess it's not really an inn. It's more of the Rosemary Time. It's not really an inn, right? It's just a tavern.
No, yeah, I would say a tavern.
Okay. So back at the tavern, some dwarves are asking about how they need to redo the place. And is it going to be in theater style or boudoir? And Geralt gets to choose, or you can have Priscilla choose. Yeah. And the best choice is theater, as that is what Dandelion is going to prefer.
Yeah. I noticed that if you let Priscilla choose, I think she chooses boudoir. And then Dandelion kind of goes, oh, this isn't really what I wanted. But then once he realizes that Priscilla picked it, he goes, oh, actually, you're right. This is perfect. And I thought, that's funny. I didn't think he would do that, but maybe he's changing his ways a little bit. He wants to make Priscilla feel better about her choice.
Every time I've seen Priscilla choose, she chooses boudoir, but I did see in multiple places that hers is random.
Oh,
I saw multiple people say that hers is random, and that, yeah, if she picks theater, then Dandelion is very happy. And if picks boudoir, Dan is like, oh, I prefer theater. But then you say, oh, Priscilla picked it, and then he's happier.
Yeah.
Because he wants to
His boo.
please his love. Yeah, his boo. Dandelion settling down, which again, that's
changed, man.
Massive running joke. Not so much in The Witcher. He's not really quite that philanderous in the Netflix series. He's not that quite a,
He seems to be all talk in the Netflix show.
Yeah, and in the books,
apart from there's the one person that they meet at the banquet, and he recognizes Dandelion, but he only would recognize Dandelion's bare arse or something like that, isn't it?
The guy has photographic memorized this dude's ass who was running out of his, or was jumping out of his window.
Yeah.
So Dandelion's been toned down a little in the show, and that's a whole other can of worms there with the queer coding thing, isn't it? About how they willingly like kind of make them kind of.
Yes, there's a word for it, and it's
not queer coding.
Like queer baiting.
Queer baiting, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we went down one hot topic. We don't need to go down that one. we'll leave that. We'll leave that alone. So Dandelion is trying to get the choreographer to show up, but her lunk-brained fiance won't let her. And he has a line here, which is, "Why do beautiful women always end up with such dicks?" And that's a loaded line.
Very much so. Who says that? Dandelion says it.
Dandelion says that. Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember that bit. God.
No, I saw it and I was like, oh, this is one of those. Speaking of those Instagram accounts earlier about how to treat women and all do that. This right here is, first off, this again was like every screenwriter from the 90s to 2000s that would have been like, hey, you have to treat women a certain way and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh, they only prefer the jock and the asshole. And I'm like, Dandelion,
nice guys finish last.
Yes. I'm like, Dandelion, we love you. We're gonna excise. We're gonna let you go with that line. Like we'll just ignore it. So we have to find a key, and we go inside to carefully explain that she will not be wagging her arse around the establishment. And basically with this, the guy starts talking shit to Dandelion pretty quickly. And you can just pop him and fight him, or you can let him explain it. Obviously, the same outcome it goes to the same outcome. But if you want to beat up this lunk, you can go for it. We need placards now. And at the artist's place are some debt collecting bandits whom you have to beat the ever living shit out of just to learn there are no placards there. And the boyo is out losing money at the races. So we're back at the Vegelbud estate for these races.
We go here so much.
I totally forgot that we had to go here for this.
Yeah.
And we go for the main story. We go here for this. And
I think two of the quests I've got down, we go there. Yeah.
Quests go there. And it's just like, okay, I mean, it's a nice estate, but CDPR is very proud of the Vegelbud estate and these horse races to race. But yeah, as we covered before, horse racing is not my jam. In this game, no, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm just not very good at it. And if I do, and I just block the person from passing me. Yeah, there's that. All so racing, Red Dead, GTA, all of it's just, oh God, get me through. I hate especially when they do it behind main story missions.
But you have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we can either pay this guy or race to get the placards. It's only 200 gold, which in game is just an absolute pittance. Because at this point, you're probably, bougie Geralt, who talks about, we're struggling witchers. Oh, I've got 4,700 gold. But
in his back pocket.
In his back pocket, all of that to do. So again, 200 gold is nothing in the game. And I think otherwise it'd be worth a ton. And you can do that either way you want, pay it. So now we're back at the Rosemarian time. Or should I say the Chameleon, as Dandelion has changed the name. And what cool thing about this too is you can see it change kind of over the quests. It can be worked on, like it's Rosemarian time, then it's like halfway worked on, and now it's completely full. And one fun thing I love is the musicians are out front. The musicians are out front, and the place is hopping. And I can't help myself. I do it in Hierarch Square, and I do it here. I just run up to the front, I start jamming, and then I hit an axie, and then they just scream and drop the instruments. And I'm
so
a bully.
Funny. And they scream. The scream is like the same
shrieks.
Scream all the time. I love it. It's like
Yeah.
pure terror.
The shrieks, and then going around bumping people. I know we talked about the shrieks before, but I don't know if we talked about when you go in and like bump people, and there's like, like they do this, like you just tap them, they go, like it's just like they jumped out of the way.
Fall over as well.
God, it's awesome. I love doing that.
That reminds me of when we did that Red Dead Redemption online and like got in that bar fight.
There wasn't a bar fight. You murdered somebody.
I did, but it was an accident. And I only did it because you barged through somebody and I thought they were fighting us then. So I was like, okay, I'll punch him. I pressed the button and she just whips out her gun and shot him in the face.
That clip. Yes.
I watched that and I just cry every time. It's so funny.
But it was funnier from my point of view because I'm looking at you just sitting there and you pull out the gun and just like execute this dude. Okay, but yes, that clip
ran
was
out
not
the
there.
door.
Yeah, hers is there. Yes, that's Red Dead. When we teamed up for Red Dead Online, I should say Lucy murdered people, so it's her fault.
Yeah, it was very funny though.
All right, so Dandelion got this loan, and were you kind of surprised how he got the loan? Did you think it was gonna be a kind of thing?
Well, yeah, I wasn't really sure. It was very, very sus. The whole thing was like, we're going to go and get with this girl. She's got a rich dad and, I'll spend the night with her. And I was like, what's happening here?
Well, he's supposed to be like in love. I know.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do any banging. He read to her for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I think it was the book Cloak and Dagger.
That's right.
What it was called. For 4 hours, and everything's great, everything's ready, but old Precissa, doing women being late, am I right? But no, she's actually not late. She's at the hospital and has been gravely injured.
Yeah.
But we will pick up on that later. So this mission, this is one of those, I love the mission. It was all fetch quests, and it was just, I'll go here. Oh, go do that. But I guess you can say this is a great way to do fetch quests where you make it funny, you make it so interesting.
Funny. Yeah. And it's just so different as well. Like, and it's kind of interacting with Dandelion under circumstances that are not super serious. It's like, oh, we're going to go and like trick this girl and we're just going to get a bit of money. Like, it's not like the life and death situation we've just been in with him in A Poet Under Pressure. So you see like more of their friendship and stuff. And yeah, I just thought it was so good. But like you say, yeah, it's just a fetch quest, but it's funny.
It's very lighthearted, and it is not a matter of life and death, is it?
It's not. But what is the next quest that I'm going to speak about. And this becomes available right after you finish A Poet Under Pressure, and it's another Triss quest.
What did you want to talk about?
I got a strange message. I don't quite know what to think.
Who was it from?
Ingrid Vegelbud's servant. Apparently, Lady Vegelbud's prepared to donate a tidy sum. She wants to help mages escape from Novograd.
So we go meet up with Triss at her hideout, and I LOL'd, laughed out loud at the landlady when Geralt arrives. So Geralt arrives at the door, and the people that are housing Triss go, oh no, you can't come in, you can't come in. And the lady goes, I told her no men and no pets. It's so funny.
Like, which one is Geralt?
Yeah. So Triss has received a letter from a lady Ingrid Vegelbud, and the lady wants to help the mages escape from Novograd by donating them a large amount of money. But in return, she wants Triss's help with something, and she tells Triss to meet one of the servants at the fish market to discuss. She wants her son to escape from Novograd as well, because her son Albert has taken an interest in alchemy, and the witch hunters have kind of caught on to this and they're not happy with him. And he's basically in danger and he hasn't been able to leave the residence. So Lady Vegelbud has organized a masquerade ball in order to help sneak Albert out of the house. So Geralt and Triss need to prepare by getting some outfits and masks. And so we visit Elihal, who is the guy that we visited a few episodes ago when we were meeting up with all Dandelion's ex-lovers. He basically has the clothes shop in Novograd. So we go and get a mask, and we have to get Triss a fox mask.
There we go.
There we go. And then you can pick, I think, any other mask for Geralt, but I think I went for the wolf one.
I mean, it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, you got to do it.
You kind of have to.
Yeah. So this quest is very much about laying the foundations for whether or not you want to romance Triss. So there's a few things that you can do to like get on her good side. One of which being is like putting on the better clothes for the ball. Because if you just rock up in your normal Witcher gear, she's like, oh, like you don't look very good. But if you get up in a doublet, she's like, wow, you really look amazing. So
Geralt kind of like pulls at it just like a little kid,
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
this is so
uncomfortable. Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, we get to the Masquerade Ball, and it's one of those where it's a big event going on. There's loads of people there. You can just go straight away to find Lady Vegelbud, but there's loads of other wee things you can do and loads of other people you can talk to as well. So you can go and look at a Gwent tournament that's going on and play a few games of Gwent. Dijkstra's there in a pig mask. You can go and have a chat with him. Dijkstra's everywhere in these quests that I'm going through today, by the way. He just shows up everywhere.
That was kind of, the pig mask was kind of harsh.
Yeah. I thought, why are you wearing that, Dijkstra? Come on.
Well, also, and he makes a joke of it himself, like the fact that, oh, who could this guy be? Like, oh, Dijkstra, I didn't see you there.
Yeah. There's another guy that we can speak to called Moritz Diefenthel, and it's a sorcerer, who Triss knows, and Triss sort of offers him a way out of the city as well, but he refuses. And later on, she kind of says, I just think he's too proud. He doesn't want to follow me as such. He just wants to be the leader.
Do you know what happens to him?
I do.
Okay.
So I think, probably won't. I don't know when it comes into the game, but later on in the game, you find him being burned at the stake, and you can save him, or you can let him burn.
I never knew that you could save him.
Yeah, I didn't either until I was watching or reading something today. But yeah, you can attack the guys and free him.
But you have to, yes, you're killing like city guards.
Yeah.
This goes, if we get to this last mission that I talk about, I kind of have a little thing to say about that as well, about Geralt just openly killing guards in the city. Like,
yeah.
Okay. So we'll get to following the thread sometime with old Lambert there.
And so we find Lady Vegelbud in her parrot mask. And this is how everyone's identified at this party. It's like you're looking for a mask, a certain animal mask. You don't know what anybody looks like or anything. And she says that her son Albert is wearing a panther mask. So we overhear Albert boasting about his alchemy skills. And he tells us to meet later on once everyone's too drunk to notice him slipping away. So for a wee while, Triss and Geralt go and sit on a bench and talk. And Triss is getting quite drunk. You can tell because her voice goes all funny and she's like laughing and she's like swaying all over the place. She's quite funny. And she basically just runs into this maze and is like, chase me, Geralt. And it's just all, the fireworks are going off. And yeah, so we chase her through the maze and there's a moment where she's about to fall. Geralt catches her and we get a time decision as to whether we're going to kiss Triss or not. What did you do?
I think I'm already on the record. When I first played through, of course I did it. Like I didn't know any better. I just assumed because we'd spent all this time with Triss that Yen, there was that info dump, that exposition dump at the beginning of the game that I didn't pick on exactly how important like Yen was, like that much. Yeah. And they threw us in here. And again, Triss is looking good. And I do love, and this is not necessarily a knock, a big thing about Triss that they say is in a way like juvenile, like she has she has high school teenage girl energy. Mm-hmm. This is all of that, like running in there saying chase me, and then I've just had so much to drink and catch me like that. It's so perfect to her character, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, it's gonna aggravate the shit out of you, and you don't have to kiss her.
Yeah, you would not find Yen doing that. They're so different, those two.
Yen and Geralt just hook up at a wedding or a wake or whatever it is. That's on brand for them too.
I don't think I did kiss her at my first playthrough. because I wasn't sure what it would lead to, and I was scared of getting banned on Twitch. So my dry run. They get interrupted by Albert anyway, and the quest basically concludes with Geralt has to. They swap masks. So Triss is like, "Oh, you two swap masks, and then nobody will know who it is." So Geralt has now got the Panther mask on, and Albert and Triss run away to the stables.
It's such Clark Kent
silly.
rules.
I know.
Clark Kent Superman rules. It's so stupid.
Yeah, because then people find him and they're like, "Oh, Albert," and it's like he's got long white hair,
and their body. Oh my god! The thing too with, is there a list that you have to set? Well, evidently you don't, because you're right. You can buy a different one. What if two people have the same animal?
Well, two people did have the same animal, because whenever you go and look for the Black Panther, you find another one who isn't Albert, and we only realized that after speaking with him for a moment. So yeah, some people do have the same mask on. And I didn't know whether people just didn't know who Albert actually was, or like, why are they suddenly mistaking Geralt for him?
The white hair, long
it's so funny.
white hair. I do love the idea though of like a masquerade ball, in the sense of this, like in, like the Gwent cards masquerade ball, they kind of added that. I put that in the D&D campaign I ran, this like the Witcher story and stuff. I love it. The masquerade balls around this area usually kind of have a different connotation.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the
like
same
swingers.
over there? Yes, like swingers, key parties.
Yeah.
And there's one massive one in Dallas that is like the Ultra Dallas Elite. It's like a huge fundraising thing. But see, that's the only one I know of that isn't that, because this one is a legit one. But you can just Google, because I did this one time. I just Googled like Masquerade Ball Dallas. There's like multiple ones, like seemingly every other weekend.
Oh.
And you get into the details and it's just, okay, you have to do this. You have to dress this certain way. You have to be, it doesn't say like open-minded, but it's all but saying what this is about. And it's basically
all
Eyes Wide
coded
Shut
as well, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Have you seen Eyes Wide Shut?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Stanley Kubrick. It was Stanley Kubrick's like last movie that he completed. It's Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, very famous for the masked orgy scene.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I will always think of is Eyes Wide Shut.
But yeah, that's pretty much where the quest ends. Like the two, Triss and Albert, get on a couple of horses and escape basically quietly through the back door. And she says to come and meet her later on in the game.
Dun, dun, dun. Another one we're leaving off with. And yeah, we're definitely going to only do like these four, because I don't think we're going to be able to fit those other ones in. Because again, these are so long. Because the next one I have might be my favorite, not gameplay wise, but story wise, atmosphere, everything. And that, of course, is where we let off of Cabaret. This is Carnal Sins, otherwise known as CSI Novograd.
Mm-hmm. So
they rush. Yeah, so they rush to the hospital, and Priscilla is in grave condition, and this is a special case. Joachim, I've heard it pronounced so many damn different ways. Joachim von Gratz says, "This is Novograd. Only the innocent burn here." Like, there you go. Don't put that on the entryway to the city, but don't put that on the tourism, but that is absolutely true. So we have to go into the morgue basically, and we can't get in there through the front door. So through the sewers we go with the dock in tow. And he says that she could lose her voice and never sing again. She's a Trobarit. So basically this is ending her livelihood. Yeah. Yeah. So again, really, really bad. We need to find a dwarven woodcarver. And Geralt learns that beards are no indication of gender, because he goes up to one and goes, "Oh, this is it." He's like, "No, that's a woman. That's a female dwarf." Oh, beards. Okay. Which we got to see in the Netflix series.
We did, wonderful
bearded dwarf eyeing Dandelion. He might have been eyeing her back.
Maybe.
Some gory details here, such as eyes being gouged out and replaced with burning coals as he was still alive.
Oof.
They find a salamander egg. Ooh, curious. Which again could be a callback like to Salamandra from The Witcher 1, or maybe to what this could be. And when we check out the feet, the doctor says he kicked something really hard right before he kicked the bucket. And Geralt is taken aback by his sense of humor and his different sensibilities, they say. But 100%, that has to be true. And I know someone who works in occupational therapy, and she works with people who are completely paralyzed, like they're quadriplegics, paraplegics, and she's worked with them every day and all the time. That's her job. So when she tells me about certain things, or, oh, they're in a car crash, I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't do that. But to her, it's like, it's her livelihood. So it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like when she has to deal with this stuff, and you almost have to not disassociate yourself, not to sound like psychotic or anything, but just separate it as you see it every day. And so someone like this, what he sees, any kind of detective, you see the worst shit imaginable. It just becomes a day at the office.
Yeah. Well, my dad and stepmom are, well, my dad's retired detective. My stepmom's a detective. So they definitely become desensitized to it. And like sometimes when if I visit them and we're just having breakfast, some of the conversations, and I'm like, what? That's awful. And they're like, yeah, sipping their coffee.
Were they like murder detectives, like homicide?
Yeah. So like all the bad stuff, like homicide, suicide, kidnappings.
So they were first on the scene then.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like, and don't do it, but it was such a bigger thing when the internet wasn't like a big deal. Like back in the 90s, when you could see like certain like crime scene photos, and I remember just look, because you say, oh, a guy put like Kurt Cobain or something, oh, put a shotgun to his head, or somebody, shot themselves. We can just imagine what's in a movie or whatnot, but like seeing what actually happened, it is, I mean, just imaginable. And like what a dead body actually like looks like a bloated dead body.
I know, horrific.
Ooh,
But yeah, when you see it all the time, you just become desensitized to it, I guess.
Oh,
which
completely.
Is so strange to think of, but I guess it's the same with anything.
You're right. It is. Another main thing here is also the smell of formaldehyde. I say that different every time because I was like, formaldehyde is prevalent here. That's going to be a big thing. There's a lot to examine here, but it's mainly the genitals I'm interested in, including Geralt. If we check them, the doctor is confused why we want to do it. But when we look, the dwarf had syphilis. Okay. You can ask again. And if you ask to look at the genitals again, the doctor will stop you and say, you clearly find gonads fascinating, but I fear I don't share your passion. Can we get back to the task at hand? Gonads. Have you ever heard anybody say that in your life?
Oh my God. Not like, never. Well, no, I don't think I have actually.
That is it. That is such a term that like my boomer dad would use. The gonads. It is. It just seems like a 30s, 40s, 50s thing.
It has business being in the Witcher universe.
In the Witcher, that's right there. I've got to find out. I got to know who wrote that line and who threw in gonads, because I would assume that this game is written. I just would have assumed it was written in Polish first off, and then translated. But they know that they're going to sell more in English, so it's probably actually written in English first, right?
I would imagine so. Yeah. So I think they're probably English.
Who gonads? That's what we got to find out.
And what is the Polish translation of gonads?
There is no way it's anything other than gonads with a Polish accent.
Yeah.
It has to be that. So Hubert, I can never remember this name either. Hubert Reich. I think it's Reich.
Yeah, Reich.
Hubert Reich shows up to inspect the body as Reverend Nathaniel is on the way. It's been 30 years since Hubert and Joachim have really kind of seen each other and known each other, and he has not changed a bit. Again, curious. Nathaniel does show up and kicks them out, and it's time to hit the streets. First up for Geralt to visit is Eustis, the corpse collector, who is it's a weird dude, as you would expect, I guess, from a corpse collector. He steals from the corpses and he insults Priscilla, so Geralt can just fucking waylay him. And it is such a fast animation that it's just like, I think it says on there, choose to hit him. And sometimes they'll kind of like, when you later on as Ciri, you can kind of punch somebody, you kind of get it where she does it. This is just like, it just skips almost animations of Geralt just knocking him to the ground. And it's so funny. He's like, what that for? Yeah. And then he just goes back down. And
I do really like how fond Geralt has become of Priscilla. And like, he's very defensive over her. Like even like, at the very beginning of the quest, when the guy bursts in to say Priscilla's been hurt, And Dandy, oh, it was such a nice moment between him and Dandelion. Dandelion's like, Geralt, please come with me. And he's like, yeah, absolutely, let's go. And I was like, oh, they're just so lush.
He's on the case.
Yeah.
Well, I think he also call Priscilla like a whore or something.
When does he say that? Because I think it's ringing a bell in my head now.
Like the corpse collector, useless.
Oh, I thought you meant Geralt.
Freudian slip. Oh God, no. No, Geralt. No. Yeah, useless, the corpse collector. I think Eustis calls him that because again, he does something that's just so over the top. I remember thinking, like, dude, like this guy's obviously, cares for this woman in some way as a friend at the very least. Like, what do you do? And he's a Witcher anyway. That's exhibit 743A about people needlessly insulting a Witcher. I don't remember if I said that there was a letter with human skin with the name Priscilla on it, but that's the big clue from this area.
That's a key thing,
Yeah, and he kept it. He stole. This guy steals from the corpses, and because of that, this note didn't get out. So Geralt says, "Hey, you could have stopped it." Blah blah blah. Lie in the mud for a little bit. We go to the alley where Priscilla was attacked, and there are some people looking for revenge, who again fight Geralt. This is one of those that kind of drags it out a little bit. Yeah. This woman keeps calling herself a whore, and it's like, okay, like be a little bit more positive there. Sex positive, sex worker positive here. And says that Priscilla treated her well, basically treated her like a person. She says a lot of people have been killed, but they were all human rubbish, as the guards call them. No friends, no family, which to me is sadly indicative of serial killers from the 70s and 80s, or serial killer victims from the 70s and 80s, as they were always transients. They were runaways. They were homeless. They were prostitutes, and like invisible people that the police don't give two shits about. Yeah,
and just don't do anything about it. So
and it's kind of
happening.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those. I don't think they necessarily were putting that commentary straight in there, but it's very easy to draw that again to real life parallels, like here. I'm assuming it was the same. Did United Kingdom have like an outbreak of serial killers also around that time?
I don't know.
I think a big thing of it in the US was, and the 60s also is included in there, is that's when free love movement and all that, a lot of migration. And obviously it's a lot easier and you can migrate further in the US than you can in England. So I think that was a big thing, is as far as that time period goes, though. Geralt tracks this formaldehyde and blood and speaks with the Vic's brother. That's victim for you non-true crime people. The Vic's brother, and learns how Fabian died, Fabian being the dwarf. Another victim is harmed. When I should say harmed, but like killed. I don't know why. Let me put that. I don't know why I put harmed, like they were killed. And Hubert the coroner is about to do an autopsy. Man, he's so helpful, this Hubert. I got a good feeling about him. And he looks so young to be that guy's teacher. How is he Joachim's teacher? He's just so young. And they tell us again. Long story short, they find out that the next victim is Patricia. Why did I say that so funny?
Patricia.
I'm having trouble with the first name, not the last name. Vegelbud. I got that one. So combined, we can say this name together. Patricia. God bless it. Patricia Vegelbud. It's Patricia, yes, but I don't know why I keep trying to say Patricia. Patricia Vegelbud. At the residence, we go back to the Vegelbud residence. She has been ritually murdered. Again, very true detective style.
Yeah.
And we have to kill the guard dogs.
Oh yeah, because we run after.
We run after
because we literally arrive at this place, and the girl, Ingrid, was that her name? She's like, "Oh, my mum's in her room. Like, I don't want to disturb her." And it's like, we should probably go in. And then the killer's right out the door or the window or whatever. And as we chase the killer, the guards mistake us for the killer, so we don't end up catching it and have to kill the guards or the guard dogs.
Yeah, we have to kill the guard dogs, and I can't remember if we actually killed any guards before they stopped us.
Yeah,
but they get a dressing down, and we find out that all victims have blasphemed the church, and it's time to find the name of the next one, Sweet Nettie at Crippled Kate's. And hey, the location is there too. How bold, man! This killer is really kind of showing where he's going to be. What a mistake. At Crippled Kate's, Nathaniel is openly doing his thing, which red flags Geralt. Why would he say that and then have a room like they know he's up there?
Yeah, it's
and
very strange.
To get the better ending out of this, to find out, I say, who actually did it, you have to ask about the formaldehyde Otherwise, you're going to think this guy did it. And I think you can like instantly accuse him, kill him, and all that fun stuff, at which point it kind of ends. And you'll get another letter basically saying, hey, you fucked up. I'm still out there.
Yeah,
you also have
what
to.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you did the first time?
Well, I did. Yeah. Because you're saying all of these hints now, which are really obvious. But when I first played it, I was like, oh, this, interesting, whatever. And we found the guy and he was about to like burn this woman or something. And I killed him straight away. And my Twitch chat have never been more angry. And they were like, you need to reload. And like, they're like,
he deserves it. It's not like you killed an innocent person. Yeah.
But they were like, you have to reload because you've done it wrong. And I was just like, whoa, true. Okay. So I still kill him, but you get the information out of him first. The best
ending, you do kill both of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mark of a good mystery is when you rewatch it a second time and truly pay attention, it's all right there. Have you seen the movie Knives Out?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God, it's amazing. If you love whodunits, it's incredible.
Is it like that then the second time you watch it, you're like,
completely. I mean, it's
obvious.
A classic whodunit. It's Rian Johnson, Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig,
nice.
who I love. Daniel Craig
so
might
good.
be my favorite. But he's doing this Southern detective where he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn here. It's just, he walks the perfect line of it being too absurd, but just funny. And he's so, God, I love Daniel Craig. You have to watch that movie. They're filming a sequel now too.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, and going back to it a second time, it's just, oh my God, it's everywhere. Like it's so set out to do it, and it's great. Same as Shutter Island with Scorsese and DiCaprio. Shutter Island too. Like you
really
rewatch and everything is right there for you. So what you need to do here is ask about that note on Patricia's body. At which point Nathaniel's like, okay, hey, let's chill. Let's talk this out. And he takes a seat, and we start having this very chill bro conversation. While Nettie is just sitting there, tied up, bleeding with a gag in her mouth.
Yep.
I'm like, Geralt.
Come on.
I was like, I'm going to untie her real quick.
Let
but
her
maybe
go.
not, because then Nathaniel will be like, oh, no, we can't do that. Jesus Christ. All right. So they deduced that it must have been the coroner, Hubert, but Nathaniel has unfinished business with Sweet Nettie. A high Axie check can do it, can say, I think you have to be delusion 3 or something like that. It has to be pretty high.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. He's like, I have to go back, and he's done. You can kill him, or you can just say, have at it, bro.
No.
Yeah, like, okay.
Absolutely absurd if anybody picks that. Even if you're doing asshole Geralt playthrough, that's too far.
Well, what he says is, I have no time for this. Like, God damn, Geralt. Oh, man. All right. So we head to where Hubert is. And we get the final boss speech where he says everything in there. He also gives away that he's a vampire. Because he said, like, oh, if you would have known truly, you would have drawn your silver sword. And he doesn't. Here's the thing, though. He says that he's a higher vampire. Yeah. And I don't think he's a higher vampire. Because, one, he looks like a catachan, which is not a higher vampire. It's a very sentient vampire who can kind of change into that. And higher vampires can only be killed by other higher vampires.
Yeah, because that's like what Regis
and Detloff.
Detloff.
Yeah. And like that was the whole thing with Regis, that again, spoilers here, but he played Blood and Wine. I'm sorry. That's why Regis essentially wasn't dead when he died. That's how CDPRs got around it, is he was not killed by a higher vampire. So it just took him a very long time. In that time, it took him a long time to regenerate, if you will. So that's really weird that they put that in there. I don't know if that was just something that slipped or whatnot, but by even CDPR's lore, he should not be a higher vampire.
Yeah, because he does turn into like a catachan looking creature, doesn't he?
Yeah, and catachans are very sentient, and they can kind of change like that.
Yeah, whereas Regis and Detloff don't change into that. They do transform and stuff, but they don't look like a catachan, I don't think.
Yeah, they go into basically like massive bats.
Yeah.
Like big scary bats.
God, it's terrifying. Yeah.
But that is it. That's dead. Case is closed. You head back to Priscilla, who again still has her hat on in bed. They still have her all in there. Might not be the most comfortable, but okay, we won't forget about that. Like she wants to stay in character, if you will. She should be fine. She speaks very weakly. Dandelion is very pleased that we've helped a bro out, and all's well that ends well.
Where did we leave off? So we left off with Triss at the end of the Masquerade Ball. She helps Albert escape and then, does that classic, I'll see you later if you want to help me out further. So after a matter of life and death, you can then start the now or never quest. And we start this by heading back to the hideaway where Triss has been staying. And as you're walking through the streets, you can hear witch hunters talking about, we're going to find that red-headed bitch, you know, all this shit. She's going to come out of hiding soon. So you know that, you know, things in the city are tense and the mages are under more and more pressure.
I think the witch hunters draw every single misogynist you can think of to this. And I forgot to mention that with Nathaniel, who again, the Reverend, all of that, his speciality, if you will, was said to be torturing women in particular.
Oh,
like, it wasn't just that he was a torturer. He preferred and enjoyed torturing women more. It's like, okay.
It's just so weird.
Makes it easy to kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I was like straight away done.
Just busted through the door. Oh, kill
him. So yeah, we meet up with Triss. She's pretty stressed, and bless her, she's, you know, feeling the pressure because she's trying to help all these mages escape, and certain things aren't falling into place. So, for example, we've got 2 people that haven't showed up at the meeting point, which is Berthold and Anise, and we have to make a decision whether we're going to go out and try and find them or if we're going to leave them. So we have to decide whether it's worth the risking blowing the cover, like, of the hiding spaces to potentially find them, or go straight to the meeting point at the Kingfisher and abandon them to certain death. Do you remember what you did?
I do not. I really don't have a clue what I did.
Yeah, I think I went to save them.
I assume I did.
Yeah, so I think the people that had been hiding them in their house tried to sell them out basically to witch hunters because they offered a big fee for it. So we go in and kill everyone and then save Anise and Berthold. And Berthold's like really a bit of an asshole, to be honest. Like, he doesn't want to go with Triss basically. And he's really rude to Anise, who is like, yeah, let's go. And Triss says, you know, you can come, or sorry, Geralt says, you can come with us. I can't guarantee your safety, but if you stay here, you will die. And Anise is like, yeah, let's go. And Geralt basically just uses Axie to shut Berthold up because he's just being a dickhead. So we go to the Kingfisher and meet up with everybody else who's in hiding. And Mr. Dijkstra is here again. And he seems to have a little bit of a soft spot. I don't know. He's really intent on helping these people out of the city. And Triss makes this inspiring speech, try and like rally the troops, saying there's no more time to waste here. We have to go now. Geralt's going to clear a path through the sewers for us to get to the docks and get on a boat and go to Kovir. And Geralt kind of is a bit rude to Triss at some point and is like, no offense, but why are you coming with me? Like, you're not going to help me. And she goes, offense taken. Stop talking and lead the way. So she's really at the end of her tether here.
Offense taken. So one thing with Dijkstra is, why is he helping out?
Well, I was a little bit sus because he's being really nice and he's like, yeah, I'll help. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll go and check the boat. But I think he says something about how he wants connections in Kovir. Yeah,
and that's where his treasure is.
Oh, yeah, in the bank.
Yeah, his treasure's in Kovir. And also, it's a side quest that we're not going to talk about now because we can't do it. So if you want us to do Reasons of State, we're going to do Reasons of State, I promise. But we have to do that much later. Some of these we have to get done before, like the Isle of Mists or whatever. And I think Dijkstra's actions here are largely due to Reasons of State.
There we go. We'll come back to that whenever.
Who knows?
And as we're going through the sewers, we find a Catacan. So there's another vampire. You need your black blood and everything to fight this off. But other than that, there's just like drowners and rats and just loads of horrible things that you have to fight your way through to clear a path for Triss.
I like how you equate drowners. I like how you equate drowners and rats together. Like there's drowners and then there's rats, just the worst things.
The rats are the worst things.
Okay, you're right. In the sense of, enemy upscaling and Death March, yes, rats are the worst. So I stand corrected.
Give me a drowner any day over those rats. But to be fair, we have got Triss with us and she is pretty swift with the fire magic. And I always get this bug whenever I play with Triss. The fire hand just stays on all the time. Even through the cut scenes, it's just constantly on, you know, like when she's saying goodbye to Geralt and stuff. She's just got this fire hand constantly.
She's just like hugging him with a burning hand,
yeah. So we get to the dock and Dijkstra is there and he describes the ship as a creaky piece of junk. The wood's rotting, the sails are prone to rip like an old pair of knickers. And he starts to kind of tease about the romance between Geralt and Triss. And this is where we get our big decision. So Triss is leaving and we can say one of two things. We can say farewell, see you later. And she leaves kind of upset. Dijkstra will call Geralt an ass, an oaf, a twit. Can't believe you didn't even try to stop her. And he says he prefers Triss because Triss is wise and staying out of politics. And your other lover, Yennefer, is cuddled up with Nilfgaard. And he doesn't want to end up on opposing sides of a war with Geralt one day because he does quite like him, really.
Reasons of state.
Yep.
A little hint there. This
is what he's saying, yes. So the other option is stay with me. And then it branches off in two further options here. So stay with me. And then he says something like, she goes, no, like we can't do this again. Like I don't have it in me to try again. And Geralt can say, you know, let's try again. I want to try again. And she just says, no, she doesn't want to do it again. She can't put herself through it. And she leaves. And Dijkstra says, well, mate, at least you tried. A sorceress turned me down once. Do you want to hear the story? And then he tells us, this is quite sweet. He says, my heart once fluttered for Philippa Eilhart. And when he told her this, she said that she prefers women. So he's trying to relate with Geralt here.
That's such it's different because they were actually together. Like they did actually have a relationship. But that is such, again, another thing that an excuse that a guy may hear or an excuse a woman would say, oh, I know, you want to go out for drinking something? Oh, I like women. Yeah. And the fact that she did it to him, it's just, but anytime, like I said, Dijkstra's always a win. Anytime Dijkstra's here, it's great. And especially when somebody is dressing down Geralt, just calling him a twit, a twat, and all this other stuff.
Constant,
It constantly happens in the books. Everybody gets on to Geralt for it. Everything he does, someone's gonna get in his ass about it. And just for Dijkstra to do that is so good. It's so good. I don't think we see Dijkstra until Reasons of State after this, do we?
Oh, really?
I think that's it.
That is a shame.
Because we did his side, we did this.
Yeah, because we get quite a lot of Dijkstra in Novograd, I think.
Yeah.
So after that, maybe not.
I think that's it.
Yeah. And our third option, which is the one you have to pick if you want Triss to be your boo thing, is to say, I love you after you've asked her to stay. And then she leaves without saying anything. She just gets a blank expression and gets on the boat, or so we think. Dijkstra again starts to tell us the Philippa Eilhart story, but he gets cut off and he says, Geralt, turn around. And Triss got off the boat. And then there's the most hilarious thing. And if we can get the video clip for this is going to be the best video clip, best moment of the quest, where Triss is kind of hinting at Dijkstra to go away. And he does this weird little back up, like, okay, I'm leaving. And he just like, it's so weird and it's so funny.
Well, mate, at least you tried. A sorceress turned me down once. Want to hear the story?
Go for it. What's the harm?
As you know, my heart fluttered for Philippa Eilhart back when we both served Redania. One day, I doused myself in fragrances like a whore in a heat wave, put on a pinstripe doublet. They make you look slimmer, you know. And I went to her, told her, Philippa, we've so much in common, and so on. Know what she said?
Pinstripes hadn't slimmed you down enough?
No. She said, Geralt, turn around.
Not in the mood for jokes.
No, I'm serious. Turn around.
Triss? I thought...
So did I. But I changed my mind.
Good thing women can be changeable.
Dijkstra, no offense, but...
Leaving, already gone.
Let's go somewhere. I know a spot where we can watch the ships.
Lead the way.
And yeah, so he leaves them and Triss is like, I've got somewhere we can go and watch the boats. She takes him up to a lighthouse and they do the nasty. And there's this weird little moment where they're the light and the lighthouse is flashing, and there's some guys on the boats, and they're like, they're getting confused, and they're starting to write down, they think it's Morse code.
Morse code.
And they just spell out this random gibberish word, and they're like, what does it mean? What does it mean? And yeah, it's just those two getting down and at it in the lighthouse. Triss kind of starts talking immediately, like, what's our 5-year plan? I'm like, whoa.
Jay, she's locking
Girl.
it down.
Triss, I think, wants to go and live in Covier, but Geralt's obviously like, I need to find Ciri. So they part ways, but they are together. And yeah, that's it. If you that's you locked in with Triss at this point, and you can't get with anyone else ever again.
Yeah, remember that girl you sold out, my daughter to Philippa about 4 years ago? Yeah, I kind of still need to find her.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that should do it. We had a couple more, but I think we've gone long enough. So
I don't remember what time we started, but yeah, maybe we can do those other two another time.
Yeah, those two we can do next week following the thread. And yours was Contract the Oxenfeld Drunk,
which is another vampire. So
yeah, so we'll cover a couple more like shorter ones. These were just, massive. They could be, Carnal Sins alone, to get everything to do it was like an hour or two, a little over an hour even.
Yeah. This is why when I started doing this, I thought this was all main quest as well, which is why last week I was like, oh, this is the end of the main quest. All of this is optional, but it's huge.
It's so much they put into it. So yep, we will be back next week for sure.
Absolutely.
You can find us on Twitter at Witcher Podcast, email witcherpod@gmail.com, Instagram at WitcherPod. Put a link down there to Lucy's Discord. Again, there's a special channel in there for On the Path. And as well, if you are listening, we'll put down there the link to the Gwentfinity channel on 983 Media that we are on, that you can watch us as well. If you are watching us right now, make sure you are make sure you are subscribed and like the channel. You can be liked too, but like and subscribe. Leave a comment down there. Tell us about how poorly we mispronounced something, or whether we took unnecessary shots at some people. Lucy, where can people find you?
I am Lucy J. Robin on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at the Fox Bride 4 and on Twitch at the Fox Bride. Join us next time as we're still in Novograd discussing more of those side quests. Bye.